Hey everyone, welcome back to Awakening Truth Week 3. It is I, Renee Shiraz. Thank you for being here. I hope that wherever you are in the world that you are feeling loved and supported and that you have all of the things that you need. So, week 3, Awakening Truth, how did it go? I feel like this week was a lot of more feelings, and honestly I just feel like the feelings are building. They are building as we get closer to the Pisces full moon, which I feel like is a big one in ending any cycles. Nonetheless, this it started off really strong, but I'm not gonna lie, the moment that I've met Mercury went retrograde in Virgo, it threw me off balance there. It threw me off balance for the week, only because my stomach, like, I feel like because I hadn't been here for like 2.5 years, and so this is my first time back since then. I was in Mexico and I was eating relatively, like, fresh food and things, and I think coming back here and really trying being conscious of it, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna stick to my same diet for the most part. But once Mercury went retrograde in Virgo, I think on Wednesday, today's Saturday, my whole stomach, my whole digestive system is just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And so I'm like, don't worry, girl, we gonna be out of here real soon, real quick. Just hold on. I feel like also this week there were some realizations that I still have some things that I am replaying from the past, and it's time to let them go. Those realizations have been challenging, but also like, okay, like, the journey continues. There's still more work to do, and onwards and forward. Also, I think because of all of these, because yes, Mercury's retrograde, but there's also all of these other planets retrograde. Venus is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, I believe Pluto's retrograde, and Chiron, if I'm not mistaken, which is not a planet, but they are all asking us to reflect on things, and they're all bringing things back up to the surface that, you think you may have moved past, but even if you feel like you've moved past, they wouldn't be coming up if you hadn't moved past it yet. So in a way, it's just, it's all for the betterment of self and spiritual growth. One of the things that I have been replaying is the last storm that I experienced. Shit was blowing all over the place, and shit has crumbled and been destroyed. So that's what I want to talk about today. In this episode, I want to just speak about trusting the storms, and the crisis points and the pivots that, seem impossible to navigate, seem impossible to get out of while you're in it. So last year around this time, I was writing for a Black travel publication, and I was super excited because I actually started off as freelance, just like contributing a certain number of articles a month. And then eventually then the opportunity was presented to me to have my own travel column, which was honestly a dream. I wanted it. Like, I had that dream written on that goal. I had it written on Post-its. I had it written down in my manifestation books. I've journaled about it, and for it to happen, for that opportunity, the offer to present itself, it was like chef's kiss. It was like everything. So excited. I actually received that opportunity while I was in Costa Rica last year. So it was just, and even being in Costa Rica and then receiving the column, it was like this sea of newness, right? This sea of excitement, because it was like a new place I was traveling, and then receiving this opportunity for this thing that I really, this kind of opportunity that I really wanted. Fast forward to it ending. Yeah, but you could say by December, I wasn't writing for them anymore. And I was traumatized. I think what I have been replaying and like over analyzing and not letting go of is my own, those things that I was feeling, right? So I was feeling something was off. I was seeing something was off, but it wasn't clear to me, right? So I felt like I just didn't even know what I would say, because there were no words that to describe the feeling that I was feeling. And so the ending of this column was really, it really was just it was just one area, because honestly, I was already experiencing so much loss, so many endings up until that point, that this one just felt like, now what? There was a last phone call that I had with a publisher at that specific publication. And after that phone call, I remember going in my bed under my covers and just like crying tears. And like I recorded myself. And I never really record myself when I'm like like I'm not thinking about that. There was something, even though I was like, oh, this is quote unquote bad, I knew that this was a turning point. Like I knew that this was like, oh, like y'all are really, y'all meaning like the universe, my ancestors, like y'all are really pushing me forward into something that is, I have no idea where I'm going, kind of thing. Whatever structure I thought was here is no longer, right? Everything was crumbling. And it was extremely difficult. Like it was so challenging. Like it's wild, because sometimes when I like think about it, I think about it, I don't even know how I got out of that. Like I don't even know how I am sitting right here right now talking to you, talking to this camera. Like I don't know, because it was hard and it was painful. There was so much grief, there was so much rage, there was so much denial. There were things that I thought I wanted that I didn't want anymore. There were ways of being that I was like transitioning out of. There were people that I thought would be in my world, in my reality forever, and they weren't there anymore. The thing that was the most constant during that time, the most consistent during that time, was birds and my therapist. Like those two things, and Netflix, those three things were my like constant. Like they were like my resources, specifically my therapist and nature and journaling. Like these things, and my aunts, like I don't, and my ancestors, like I don't even, and even that was like, I was so angry. I was so angry at them. I was so angry at the universe. I was so like, when you're in the middle of the storm, you just want to come out of it. You just want to be out of the storm. It's like being in a small boat in the middle of the ocean, and the waves are just doing what the waves are doing. It's a storm. So the waves are doing what the waves are doing, and you just have to trust that that it's going to ease up, right? It can't go on forever. Like you have to trust that. But when you're in the eye of the storm, trust what? Trust what? So that ending, that column ending, was really the catalyst. That storm is what has led me to this point right here, right now, right? From December until where we at, August. And honestly, this is how, I sometimes think I want to know the future. I want to know how long something's gonna last. I don't. I do not, because if you would have told me in December, like, boom, in August, such and such and such, like, things still won't be as clear. It'll be clearer, but you won't have full clarity in the ways that you want full clarity, but you will feel more trusting of it all. You'll feel more keen to be in the boat and allow the waves to take you where they take you. Allow the waves to guide you, and to trust that the hand of the universe, the hand of God, the hands of your ancestors, they will continue to almost act as buffers, right? Like I just saw bowling, like when people have on the bowling, I don't know what you call them, but those things on the sides, and so the ball doesn't go off the lane. Like they will be there. Your people will be there to just guide and make sure that you are staying on path. Yeah, there's gonna be some reroutes, but their hands, their guidance is going to make sure that you are on track, and you just gotta trust that. But if you would have told me that in December, like that's where you're gonna be at in August, like that's the one thing that you know for sure, then I don't even know if I I still don't even know if I would be happy with that, to be honest. Like because I feel like I feel like ego is like, we should have way more figured out. Like you should have way more figured out, and this is where we're at. So, what I've learned from storms and crisis points and tower moments is that, and deaths and endings, is that they are catalysts for change. I think the purpose of storms, when storms are forcing things out of your life, it's always for the betterment of you, always for the betterment of your highest good, for your brightest good. It's never for your detriment. It's never for to pull you back in some way, shape, or form. In the moment, in the storm, yes, it feels like, where am I going? Like you're moving backwards, like you're not, you're not where you think you should be. There are unexpected things coming, and there's nothing you can do about it but just roll with it. Accept them, be with them, grieve them, rage about it, feel all the things you need to feel, but let go. Don't hold on to it. I feel like I caused myself so much suffering, like added suffering, because I was holding on so tight, because I just could not let go. I feel like this specific storm was the most present that I have been in a storm. There was something deeper going on, and I do think there's something deeper going on. My heart knew that, my intuition knew that, and the parts of me that were able to be present, I think were coming from those places of like, we just have to stay present. Even if those words were not coming out of my mouth, I could feel it because there were just so many. Like I have the goosebumps right now. Like I can feel all of those feelings. I can feel the harshness of it, and I can see the light. I think there is so much beauty and so much gold, right? Like so much gold, so much treasure, so much treasure, so much treasure inside the storm. There was so much goodness, and one of those being that I feel like I fell in love with cooking again. Like I was cooking for myself. Like that's what else I was doing, where it just felt like this is how I'm going to take care of myself. My world is crumbling. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm going to eat, and it's going to be good. And also within these storms and these crisis points, there's so much duality. If there's duality, there has to be treasure. There has to be something in there for us, right? There has to be something in there to take to like, what is it, like a souvenir? Like, what are you taking with you? You're not going through this for no reason, so like, come out of it with something pretty. Right? Come out of it with something. There's pain and there's inspiration. There is death and there's rebirth. There is confusion and there's clarity, all within these storms. And I think that when you are present in a storm, undoubtedly when the next storm comes, you're going to have so many more tools. You're going to have so many more resources I'm not going to lie. I just lost my train of thought because these ugly bugs that are in New York, these, like, I don't know what, these lantern flies or whatever they're called, they are gross and disgusting. They really do something to my skin. It's on the window right now and it just completely threw me off. My bad. My therapist brought my attention to crabs and how crabs experience molting and like the shedding of their skin. I see such parallels between that molting journey with crabs and spiritual transformation, right? Because any kind of expansion, any kind of growth involves shedding. Any kind of change involves shedding. It involves breaking out of the shell, the confinements that we've now outgrown. It's almost like expanding to get to your higher self. And the molting that crabs experience, once they break out of their old shell and they are in their new shell now, it takes 2 days for that the new shell to harden. It just reminds me of, this really tender space, this really tender new body, this really tender new being, that when you undergo a spiritual awakening, when you undergo transformation, when you undergo change, you have to be so delicate with yourself. Whatever armor, whatever shell you just had on, right, for however long you had it, you've outgrown it, and now you're out of it, and you're in this space of newness, this space of softness that requires you to take your time with yourself while you fortify yourself, while you gain new while you gain new layers of protection. And it's not protection like shutting yourself off. Maybe that was one of the armors you were shutting yourself down or closing yourself off. Maybe that was one of your protections, one of your armors in your last crab, in your last shell, but it's not what you need right now in this next book of your life. Something that I always say to myself and to friends, my email signature is slow, slow, gentle, gentle, because we really have to be slow with ourselves. We have to be gentle with ourselves, especially after experiencing endings and transformations and change, because we are deeply vulnerable. Our armor is not as hardened as, it will as we continue to move through the world. A question that really carried me through that whole storm, and even once I got out of it, once I was able to, see the light, was, what part of your heart is the universe wanting to capture in this storm? And honestly, it took me a while to answer it. I didn't know, but I just kept writing it down. Ain't nothing changed. Trust. When you're going through these storms and crisis and transformations, there's nothing that you can do. You can only be with it where you are. And it takes a level of trust, it takes surrender, and it takes courage to be like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna be here with it. I'm gonna be present with it, and I'm gonna take care of myself in the process. So that's the part of my heart that I feel like the universe was asking me to trust leading up to this today, like this moment. If we look really closely, storms really come in to with the rubble, the destruction, all of the pieces that we now have to maybe go through and see, like, what can we salvage. That is now fertile ground for a new foundation that is immovable, a new foundation that is untouchable, a new foundation that is fortified. Through this storm right here, I got it loud and clear. No one is coming to save me. No one is coming to save me. And I have to be the hero, the superhero of my life. I'm okay with that. In the storm, maybe not so much. But I feel like after this storm, and that's the thing with storms too, they don't come in for no reason. They come in and they're making things more solid. Storms make us stronger. They make us more resilient. They make us more wiser. They make us more powerful. There's an interview with The Dream, and he says, sometimes you have to run into the darkness to go get the beautiful thing. We are easy and excited to run into the light to go get the beautiful thing because we can see it. The light is shining on the beautiful thing. So we're like, boom, we know where to go. But when it's dark and it is chaotic and we can't see and we're fumbling around, we still have to take that same kind of energy and run into the darkness to go get the beautiful thing as well. So if you right here, right now, find yourself in your own storm, in your own crisis, in your own tower moment, in your own death cycle, then I encourage you to hold on. I encourage you to hold on. It's not easy, but it's not supposed to be. Just know that you are being fortified, that you are being armored, that you are protected, and that you are really being guided back to what it is that you truly came here for. Embrace all of it. Embrace the tears, embrace the challenge, embrace the uncertainty. Ask God, universe, spirit, ancestors to show you what you need to let go of and to give you the courage to let go of it. And if there's any part of you that is speaking to you quietly, gently, trust it. It's telling you the truth. If something inside of you is telling you to slow down and you don't need to rush and everything's gonna be okay, trust it. Don't trust your eyes too tough in this current stage. Because your eyes are showing you one thing for sure, but trust what's happening inside as well. That is trusting the storms, trusting the tower moments, trusting the crisis. Thank you so much for being here on this journey with me. Thank you for journeying with me through this episode. If you enjoy what you're seeing here, like and subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, choose more love and more trust. Bye.